This deserves a SHOEY. Incredible work by us and our team. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Verhecki Motorsports My Team Career Mode. And I have to admit, I am one of the slowest uploading inconsistent YouTubers on the web. But today we have arrived at the creme de la creme of the F1 season, where glamour is more important than the race itself. We arrived at Monaco for the Monaco Grand Prix. But Rick, how does the car feel around Monaco? Well, glad you've asked. The car feels pretty okay on this track. There is some lack of downforce here and there. The car feels a little bit nervous through corners, but it's okay to handle. Tire management, fuel management, track acclimatization, ERS management and race strategy were all purple. I did tire management and race strategy on multiple compounds so that Jeff has the best data to make the strategy work. But what worries me was the qualifying program. I tried it multiple times, failed it over and over. So firstly, I am not so confident going into Q1. I was expecting to drop out immediately in Q1, but looking at the timetable of the P2 timings, I was actually third. How is that possible? I don't know. So I think that's enough intro. Let's go to qualifying 1. And as you can see, I was already showing you my first lap. And it was a decent 1:13.2 and the fastest lap for a short time. It was probably the first time. My second lap we don't speak about, but was a 1:15 something. Now with 5 minutes left, it is time to improve my 1:13.2. I am currently 12th, but I can drop fast. We know how it goes in Formula 1, so I need to improve my time. First sector is a green, second sector is also a green, third sector is also a green. And that's a 1:13.0. But is it enough for Q2? Yes, boys, it's enough.
Can you believe it?
As expected, Mick underperforms again and is the slowest of all. So he is starting 22nd on Monaco. So we can't expect much from Mick this race. Here we are in qualifying 2 for our first early run. While Albon sets a 1:12.7 as fastest lap in this session, but it's early on, so it's probably the first lap driven by any driver. But still, it's kinda quick. I wasn't able to set a 1:12 at least in qualifying 1, so it's quicker than I was before. On the other hand, I have to say this was my cleanest lap I have driven this entire race weekend. I was able to beat Albon by 1/10 of a second, but that was still over half a second slower than Bottas' Mercedes. That Mercedes is just on a different level. But Bottas isn't our threat, Bottas isn't our rival, neither are the Ferraris or any Mercedes or any Red Bull. Our main rival is Grosjean in his Haas. Then we have the Williams and the Alfa, so I think we are doing very well right now. You know, Q2 in this car is pretty amazing. But to get back on the subject Grosjean, look at his time, he's almost a second slower than me. So I'm pretty confident that I'm winning this rivalry. But in the second run of this qualifying 2, I wasn't able to improve my time. I had a pretty sloppy lap, so I was almost a second slower than my first time in this session. And even though my second lap was a whomper, the first one with a 1:12.6 was still enough to go through to Q3, which means we are starting in the top 10, which is giving us the opportunity to score some championship points. And those are always welcome. And most importantly also, we've beaten Grosjean, our main rival. So that's 2 birds with the 1 stone. Going into qualifying 3 and starting off with a terrible 1:13.7. And it isn't a surprise, but we are currently 10th. 10th place isn't so bad because it's a possible 1 championship point. But you know, it would be more comfortable if we could start a little bit higher up the grid. You know, it would give us an extra margin. So we definitely go out a second time and try to improve our time and just end up a little bit higher on the grid, like 8th or 9th. If you want to get a championship point, this is the race to do it. We are now in the position to score 1 or maybe more points for the championship and possibly beat our rivals in this season, like Williams and Alfa Romeo and Haas. The next races aren't going to be races we can win points on, you know. The next race, Azerbaijan, is gonna be horrendous with all the drag and the low power. So this is the race we have to do it. This is the race, if we want to score points this season, this is the race to do it. This is the track, this is the weekend. It has to be done in this race. This last qualifying lap is going to decide how many points we take back home to the Netherlands, to our HQ. Well, not directly, but indirectly. The grid place in Monaco does really matter. How higher you end, how higher you're gonna finish, you know. You can't overtake on Monaco, and especially with the trains, the AI form. So this is the lap where it all has to happen, and I'm giving it absolutely everything as we go through the tunnel as fast as possible. Ready for the upcoming heavy braking zone before the chicane and entering the swimming pool area. I have to say this lap was pretty tight until this moment where my rear end just wanted to step out. I was able to control it, but it just costs some time there. As I'm taking the chicane again, very aggressive, and again rear end just wants to step out. We don't have the rear downforce for this section. Two green sectors, sector 1 and sector 2. Let's see how fast we can go. Let's see if we can get a 9th place or maybe 8th. Oh, rompapom. No, 10th. Very disappointing. It was a very good lap if you ask me. But we just do not have the car to compete with the guys in front. It is still a good result if you look at our rivals, so I'm a little bit disappointed I wasn't able to get a grid place maybe higher, maybe overtake Sainz. You know, 10th is not bad, we are here possible points. I really think we've pushed the maximum out of this qualifying. The last thing we have to do now is just secure that one championship point. 50% is done and we still have 50% to go, so it's time to go to the race.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino, first opened in 1863. And, of course, a certain road race, first held here in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars climb around 40 metres up through Beau Rivage, onto the casino, and then descending down towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of the 19 corners here, 7 to the left and 11 to the right. There's one single DRS zone as well, so don't expect that to make overtaking any easier today. Anthony Davidson, thanks for joining me once again for the Grand Prix. Now, I want to ask you about Mick Schumacher. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Ricciardo, Stroll, Sainz, the rookie, and Kimi Raikkonen, Bottas, Perez, Esteban Ocon, and Kvyat, Norris, Grosjean, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Kevin Magnussen, Gasly, Russell, Latifi, and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Here we are on the grid for the Monaco Grand Prix, and as you saw, we actually gained 1 place, so we're now starting 9th because of a grid place penalty by Bottas. I don't know what he has done, maybe a new engine component or something, but he has a grid penalty that gives us the inside into the first turn, so we can defend the inside from cars trying to dive bump and torpedo us from the inside, and we can also try to do a move. We go for a one-stop strategy, we're going in very early to switch the softs into some hards, and we just have to hold it out the entire race. But I think that's enough strategy and tactics and whatever. It's time for the Monaco Grand Prix. As the 5 red lights go out and I'm going to the left to defend from Kimi Raikkonen. I squeeze him too much, make a little bit of contact there. It's going on the inside of Sainz with a little swoosh move, but I don't have the traction to accelerate faster than Sainz, and he takes the position back from me. So we didn't lose a place, we didn't win a place. As we switch back to the view of Kimi Raikkonen, you can see me squeezing him out, but Mickey just had to lift the throttle a little bit there. But he just wanted to go through, maybe damage his front wing a little bit. But look at this fight between the Finns. Raikkonen and Bottas fighting through the entire section right here. I don't know how this is called. I forgot my corners here. But they are fighting. They don't give each other a single meter. And then Bottas crashes into me. And you can see the damage it has done to the left front wing of Bottas. And he's going to come in the first lap because he can't ride with the front wing. So his race is already over. As we go through the Monte Carlo Casino hairpin, or however it is called. I don't know the corners, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't do my homework. But then the first lap, as we go through the tunnel, you can see the difference in divisions here between my car and the rest of the cars. I have Kimi Raikkonen very close behind me. But you can see there's already a gap between me and basically every McLaren and Red Bull and Ferrari and the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. But yeah, I just can't keep up with the guys. I do have their dirty air, but that's not a fucking reason, you know. I can't just keep up with those. So we're gonna have a very boring race, you know. We just have to defend from Kimi Raikkonen and from the rest of the pack as we go through the race. The only two things that can possibly ruin our race are the early pit stop. I'm not so sure about that. And of course me crashing into a wall, which is pretty possible. After 4 laps, there's already a 3-second gap between me and the front pack. So we are basically riding in nobody's land, because behind me Raikkonen isn't as close as I was thinking. And I was actually pulling ahead of Raikkonen with like a small margin per lap. Till my first and only pit stop. It was pretty boring, to be honest. There wasn't really much happening. No crashes, no retirements. I was just cruising around the streets of Monaco, enjoying the high-end apartments and the nice cruise ships and boats and yachts around in the harbor. So it was more like a Sunday drive than a fucking race. I don't have any highlights because absolutely nothing happens. But arriving in lap 6, if you look at the mirrors, you can see Kimi Raikkonen is very close behind me, and that had to do with my tires. I was just ice skating around Monaco. I was just enjoying my Sunday drive, and suddenly I looked in my mirrors, which I don't use often. I saw fucking Kimi Raikkonen very close behind me. So that was a little bit of a scare, if I have to be honest, but I was struggling with my tires. These tires were on their end of their lives as I'm locking up, which occasionally happened on these worn tires. And behind me Kimi Raikkonen has more grip because he started on the medium tire. What's happening now, because I'm losing so much time each lap, the pack behind me is actually closing towards me, so they are right on my tail here. So I came into the pits in lap 9 instead of lap 8. I wanted to extend this soft stint by a few laps, but in lap 9 I was so struggling with the tires, and also the pack behind me has caught up with me, so I decided to come in lap 9. I wanted initially extend the stint a little bit more with a few laps, like lap 12 or something, to come in, because lap 8 was a little bit too early for me to come in, just for my feeling. It didn't really feel comfortable to pit already in lap 8, but you know, I was struggling so much in these tires and everybody had caught up with me, so it was time to come in and put a new set of hard shoes on. And then I was released far away from everything, and I was afraid I wasn't able to catch the rest, so I was afraid to lose this race at this point. But finally, after 6 laps of driving in nobody's land, absolutely seeing nobody, hearing nobody, I was isolated from the world. Finally, after 6 laps, I caught up with Bottas and Sainz. And also look who's holding up these two. It's my teammate Mick, and he is so slow around Monaco. He isn't riding a car, he isn't driving, he's crawling around Monaco. And he's just holding us up here. He's just increasing that gap to the other train. So we were just losing so much time here, just because Mick was crawling around this track. He was pushing the car around Monaco. He was so slow. We joined the train, we joined the paint train, and we were just cruising down Monaco. I was so happy that Mick came into the pits on the end of lap 19, so we could catch up the other cars. And you can see immediately the difference in levels between Bottas and Sainz and our car. But the best thing was we weren't crawling around Monaco, and we gained some places because more cars came into the pits on this lap. We were back on P10 and I wasn't really so worried anymore. At this point I was just driving between Bottas, Sainz, and there was also a Renault in front of there. But there was also a Renault chasing me, so I was driving between two trains. Well, one train and one wagon. But absolutely nothing happened. The Renault didn't come closer, the front train just escaped me, and it was just cruising back again in nobody's land. So I just put on my French music and enjoyed Monaco.
What's happened, guys? We're just reviewing the video.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right. Lewis Hamilton is out of the race. I have no idea what happened. His engine just shut off. I don't know. I didn't see any smoke, but maybe it's an electrical failure. So it's time for a safety car. And of course, Mastermind Jeff had another mastermind of a strategy. Suddenly, we were doing a two-stop. I had absolutely no idea, but a two-stop strategy on Monaco is just suicidal. Most importantly, the field is coming together during this safety car, so I don't feel as a loser. The only thing I had to do was catching up the safety car, and the safety car actually scared me, so I didn't know I was allowed to overtake the safety car, and I saw the safety car and it just hit the brakes and I locked up. And of course that isn't good for my tires, and I was expecting for Mastermind Jeff to come up with another cunning strategy, but he was smart enough to shut up and say nothing. And I experienced that catching up the safety car is kinda hard. An awful lot of laps later, I was able to catch up the safety car train and train around Monaco for the next restart with 7 laps to go. And of course, when the restart took place, I had no chance to keep up with the guys in front of me. And I actually had to defend from the Renault behind me. That wasn't going to be the hardest part, because the AI is pretty weak around Monaco. So the only thing I had to do was go defensive and keep my position no matter what. I actually saw a sight I wasn't going to expect to see. It was a blue flag, which wasn't meant for me. It was meant for my teammate. I was actually lapping a car. That's impossible. That's unbelievable. And then, a lap later, another blue flag for Romain Grosjean, our rival, the French baguette. Unbelievable scenes going on in Monaco. For the rest, nothing spectacular happened until finally, after such a long time, lap 39, I take the checkered flag before the Renault. We get points. 9th. Oh, sorry, 8th. That's amazing. We achieved something in our lives. This deserves a SHOEY. Incredible work by us and our team, especially Mastermind Jeff with his cunning strategies. We've got points, ladies and gentlemen. Points! And we see something we don't see very often nowadays. We see Sebastian Vettel on the top podium. Ferrari is in the top 10. It's unbelievable stuff around Monaco. I'm almost shitting my pants. Of course, the other Dutch guy on the grid, Max Verstappen, takes second. Damn, I am having the day of my life here. For serious, how boring was this race if the highlight and my enthusiasm rised on the end of the race? The highlight is Sebastian Vettel on top podium. That was the highlight of the race. A Ferrari finishing top 5. That was just the race. It was so boring. It's incredible. I just didn't enjoy this race. I got bored. The end is just a highlight. The end of everything. It's time to go back to the HQ and spend some of those resource points. But first, it is time to sign a new sponsor, because one of our sponsor deals has expired. So yeah, when the new deal is signed, it's time to spend some resource points on drag reduction, because we need straight line speed. And we don't have much upgrades going on at the moment. We need more development. The only thing that's going on right now is a minor engine power upgrade. So we need more resource points, and we need more investment in parts of the car to improve the car, because otherwise we're gonna have problems. Before we go to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, it's time to do some activities with the team building, also some promotion. And as you saw, the minor engine upgrade has been installed for the next Grand Prix. So that's good news. That upgrade will come in handy next Grand Prix when we race in Azerbaijan. It's a long straight there, so we need some improvements on top speed. I also decided to spend some of our money in the aerodynamics facility upgrade. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave a like if you did. And for next week, we've got the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which is gonna be a different story. Bye.